Today is December 26th, 8:08 a.m. Reporting live from Brazil, man. Happy holidays to the people out there. It's been like a week since I made a video. I've been wanting to make a video, but holiday season, doing other things, kind of busy. But we here. What's new in my world? Going on a road trip in a couple days, so very excited about that. Can't wait to go. If you guys follow me on the socials, you'll see in a couple of days. But yeah, I'm excited for that and just taking some downtime off, from just work and everything. But we'll be back to it soon. Now, what I want to talk about today is the Canadian dream or the American dream, right? Because since we were young, we were sold how our lives should be based off of the higher ups and the path that we all have to take, or the path that's recommended to us, right? And I'm sure most of you guys maybe know. If you don't, I'm going to explain it. So here's how it starts. You go to school, right? You go to school and they teach you how to be an employee, right? And when I say school, I mean post-secondary, so college, university. After that, you might do a master's or something. I don't know, maybe after that you go again, just a lot of school. After that, you buy a house, you have 2 kids, you have a dog, you get married, white picket fence, and you live happily ever after, right? That's what we're sold. But I personally believe that this system is flawed for many reasons, right? So here's the first thing. Majority of people cannot afford to go to school. They can't afford it, right? They don't come from wealthy backgrounds where their parents could just fully pay for their school and they leave debt free. That's not the situation for most people. So what do? They take on debt. I'm gonna say that word a lot in this video. Debt. They take on debt, right? So let's say, just for an example, you leave school after 4 years and you have $50,000 in debt, right? And let's say that person went to school for sociology, right? Just random degree, right? So they leave school with $50,000 worth of debt. Then 2 years later, 3 years later, they get married. And because society says that, you gotta have the big wedding, hundreds of people, this, that, make it flashy, right? They put down another 50,000 for their wedding, right? So in a span of 4 or 5 years, they're 100K in debt. Oh, but we forgot something. After you get married, you got to get that house with the white picket fence. Boom, mortgage. That mortgage, let's say someone bought a house for, let's just keep it conservative, like 800,000. You put 20% down. I'm not that good at math. For those of you who know, okay, boom, 20% down of 800,000. So boom, now you just have even more debt. Debt from college, debt from the wedding, debt from the mortgage on the house. Then you want to have kids. Now, of course, kids are debt, but I don't really like to look at kids in that way because they're a blessing. A good parent would do anything for their child. So a kid is not debt, but yes, it's going to cost you resources, right? Now, all these things are debt. You cannot, now you're a slave to the system. Why? Because you have to pay for this mortgage, you have to pay back your student loan, and you have to pay for the house, right? So now you're screwed because if you want to take risks, if you want to do certain things, you're unable to because you're in debt. And now you have to work. You can't say, you know what, I'm going to take 5 months off and just chill and get my mind right. I'm gonna take 3 months off, chill, get my mind right. You can't do that because you're in debt. You literally have to work because of debt. Imagine if you had no debt and you had like 6 months worth of savings, a year worth of savings. You could be free. You wouldn't have to work. Now, of course, you need to have your income coming in, but you would have like more space and more time to think, to breathe. You wouldn't just be working just to survive. And that's how life is in the Western world. We're programmed. Most people have car loans as well. I have so many friends that have car loans, and they recently told me, yo, after 6 years, I'm finally paying off my car loan. Like, they're so happy, you know? And that's the situation for most people. Car loans, mortgages, student loans, debt. In my opinion, it's best to be debt free. It's best to be debt free because you have that monkey off your back and you're able to live in financial peace. Now, some people will say like you can use debt to make more money, and there's such thing as good debt and bad debt, and yeah, arguments can be made for that. But to me, I just value peace over everything. So that's why I go with the debt-free route, the calm route, the chill route, the Bitcoin route, live below my means and let time do its thing, right? Not be flashy and just stay away from consumerism, stay away from debt, because once you get trapped in that system, it's hard to get out because now you feel like you have to keep up with the Joneses because your neighbors have the nice cars and the nice houses, and you don't want to feel left out. You don't want to feel less than because you don't have the same things as them, right? So you got to break free from that. And that's really why I love living abroad, because I don't feel that pressure. I don't feel that need to impress people with material things. Like, it's a truly freeing feeling to just be comfortable with yourself and not have to prove your worth by what you have or what you're wearing or what you hold. It's calming. And yeah, that's one reason why I love living here. But I think we have to adjust what that dream looks like, because when we say Canadian dream or American dream, I think that's synonymous with success, right? And like, what is success living? Like, what is success in life? I don't think there's a one size fits all answer, because man, like, everyone is different. Like, some people want kids, other people don't want kids. Some people just want to travel, have no kids, and just live life like a bachelor for forever, right? Other people want a family, want a legacy, want something beyond themselves. Now, I'm not here to play the moral police and tell you what to do. I'll tell you what I would do, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. But I think honestly, it'll probably get to a point, let's say you're 45 years old as a man, maybe 42, 43, and like, you might have the freedom, you might have the finances, you might be able to travel. But I feel like for most of us, there'll come a point in time where like you just feel empty, you know? You'll just feel empty, and you're just gonna think, is there more to life, than just doing things for yourself? And I think for all men, like, we do need that period where we have to be selfish and we have to pour into our health, our wealth, our, spirituality, working on our emotional intelligence, things like that. But then it gets to a point where you have to stop living for only you and like add on like a wife, children. Because I think the ultimate test of a man is taking on more responsibility. And I don't think that there's a higher calling in life for a man than to lead a family, So that would be in my personal definition of success. And I want to send a big salute to all the good fathers out there, all the good husbands out there. Like, I know that path is not easy, but I believe it's a path worth traveling. So salute to you guys. Um, but yeah, you got to define what success is. I think like if you can, you know, have a situation where you can like buy a house in cash, that's gonna set you up big time. You know, instead of paying that 50,000 for the wedding, if you could maybe buy some land or build your house from the ground up, I think that's better, right? I think that if you are going to go to school, that it has to make sense. So I think in the future, because of AI and where the world is going, I think that the trades are going to make a serious comeback. I mean, they already are now, and I think in the future it's only going to continue. So if I was like, if I had a son right now or a little nephew or something, I would say go to school for a trade if you wanted to go down the school route, plumbing or, carpentry, something that where once you graduate, you're going to be able to get a job right away. Because we live in a time where a degree means nothing. You could get a degree, be in debt, and go work at McDonald's. There's tons of people like that. In Canada right now, unemployment is crazy. Same thing in America. So you got to be strategic because it's a business. Like, and that's one thing I wish I understood when I was in college. Like, this is a business decision. Schools are businesses. They make money with the promise that, okay, you come and get our degree, you're gonna make more money later on. But there's a lot of variables when it comes to that. So you gotta get a degree that actually makes sense for you if you're gonna go down the school route. Now, entrepreneurship is not for everybody, but I feel like if you have 1% of a hustler bone in your body, it's worth trying, it's worth experiencing because you're gonna learn a lot about business, a lot about yourself, and then you'll be able to, even if you have a job, maybe have a little side income, right? Learn how to do things, and it's just another skill that, you can enlighten the people around you on, right? So I would say do that. And if that's the path you want to go on, I would say start early. I mean, listen, it's never too late, but like if you're 18, 19, 20, even 21, 22, and like that time is the best time to start a business. Like you're young, your responsibilities are lower, and you have more time. Even if you're 30 or 35, like you still have time, but the younger you start, the better. And that way, like you won't have debt, if you start something where it doesn't, the cost to start it is very small, that could be something great, man. But you gotta define what the Canadian dream, what the American dream is for you, and understand that you don't have to go down the traditional path to be successful in life. There's multiple ways to do it. There's multiple paths. You just have to find what works for you. I went down multiple paths, sports, music, business, I'm still working on myself. I'm still trying to figure things out every single day. But you're not a loser if you don't go to school. Some of the world's most successful people never went to school or they dropped out of school, right? Everyone won't have the Cinderella story, but you just have to know yourself, and I believe that comes through trial and error and just figuring things out as you go, right? And just working towards your freedom, because I think ultimately that's what success is. Success is freedom, having the ability to choose, having options, right? Saying, you know what, I want to live here, or I'm going to get this instead of that because I can't afford it. Not only being able to get this because, well, the birds out there are eating, man. Not having only the ability to buy this because it's the only thing that you can afford. I think having options is success. Freedom is success. Family, love is success, right? Not just being like totally by yourself, you know? I think family is a big part of that. Canadian dream, American dream. And yeah, know yourself, find what works for you. You guys have a blessed holiday, blessed Christmas season, and 2026. Let's take it up another notch, fellas. We'll chat soon. Peace.